Hello, everyone. Well. Another episode of the Truther Therapy Sessions, and I think I'm in need of a bit of therapy myself, to be honest. What a wild week it's been for my videos. So I made a video talking about the Millennial Reign in the Millennial Kingdom, which is something I just do not talk about on my channel. I've avoided discussing this one for as long as I felt like I could, in a sense, because at the end of the day, I'm not a Tartarian Millennial Kingdom channel. That's just not what I do, is it? It's not my my focus. It's not my my thing, my style. It's off-brand in a sense. But at the same time, other than the clown stuff, I am a conspiracy theorist to heart, through and through, and I have to kind of cover every topic as it comes. So, I decided to take a little stab at describing my thoughts and feelings around this whole Millennial Kingdom thing, this Millennial Reign thing, and the whole Tartarian stuff. So I mentioned a video at the start of the week. It was something about don't listen to demons, they're liars, and I was talking about just suicide and how demons basically communicate with people and make stuff up basically to get their own way. And just in passing, I wasn't even thinking about it, to be honest. I just said as like a throwaway comment about, if this is Satan's little season, then we're the resurrected bad people before Christ turned up. We're like pretty bad people to begin with, and this is kind of were those people living in Satan's little season that it says in Revelations 25, that we're going to be resurrected to live in that time. Those who died before Christ arrived basically get to come and live during this little season. And I said it without really thinking about it, because I felt like it was common sense. It was just a throwaway passing comment. But then people were like, whoa, Paul, back up. What did you just say? I had no idea that people hadn't really even considered that that's who we would be. If this whole the Millennial Reign has come and gone and we're living in that little season where the devil's loose. It's like people hadn't thought about it. They hadn't considered that they were in some way resurrected souls from the past, which it says in the Bible would be risen again during this little season. And people try to interpret it many other ways and says no, they're just passively referencing the people who appear at the White Throne Judgment at the very end. But it doesn't say that. It's mentioned specifically in the midst of or just before Satan's little kingdom. That these people will be risen again. And then maybe there'll be another resurrection right at the very end, after everybody's utterly annihilated and destroyed, after encircling the camp of saints and fire just rains down from heaven. Then there'll be the second resurrection, where every single human being to ever exist ever is restored for judgment. But it does say, in Revelations 25, these people will come back, specifically around the time this little season happens. So, again, a throwaway comment. I had to expound on it a little bit more. So I did. I made a video. Just let me know if the audio is working for everyone, guys, by the way. I want to make sure I'm not just talking into the air here. I saw a comment there about audio not working. What's going on there? Are we good, everyone? Just a quick yes, everything's fine in the chat would be great. Let me just get it off top chat, my ultimate mistake, and let's change that to live chat. I'm all good. The sound's all good. Everyone can hear me. Okay, so I'm not just talking to myself. Right. Well, as I was saying, I made a video kind of developing the idea, about who we would be as a peoples if we're in this little season. And are we these resurrected people who died before Christ could come and kind of save us? Damned souls, who didn't have a chance for salvation because they just didn't happen to exist before Christ came and conquered death and gave us a way to be saved, So they technically, unless they 100% followed the law, of Israel perfectly, it's likely a lot of people didn't quite make the cut. You know what I mean? So those are those people now. That's who we are now. Our souls, in a sense, have come back into this world to do it again. this time with Christ omnipresent, and whether he is physically here or not, we all know about him. You know, the gospel has been spread to all corners of the earth. You know what I mean? You can't turn a corner on this existence without hearing about Christ. So it's not like we don't have a chance, you know. And I don't know how long this season's supposed to be. Perhaps it's open-ended for a reason, to give us all a good chance. I don't know, but I speculated about a lot of things, because I'm not saying, you know, this is 100% it. This is what's going on. All right. I don't know. I don't know if this is the little season or if we're still waiting for the 1,000-year reign to come. The people make vehement, powerful, angry arguments on both sides. All right. And I'm starting to wonder if it was even worth talking about this, simply because of the huge reaction this has caused in the comments section. Now, it says in my likes to dislike ratio, so my wife is asking me where her tripod is. It could be in the boot of my car if you want to come have a look. I'm not 100% on that. I don't tend to use your tripod, but it could be in the boot of my car. Come check it out. I'm in the car, by the way, guys, if you're wondering. So my wife can have the kitchen to herself rather than kicking her out. I've managed to make it so the signal's a lot stronger by moving the router pressed up against my window and parking the car incredibly close to the house as much as I can behind a bush. It seems to be working. But yeah. Come check the car. Just open the boot and have a look. But as I was saying, the reactions to this Tartarian millennial reign theory, this idea, just brought everybody from every single faction to have an opinion and scream it into the ether of my comment section. And you know, I'd say about 5% of people just didn't actually understand the point I was making. Like full stop, they just didn't actually understand what I meant at all. And I'm just going to pause the sound for 1 second, guys, while my wife checks the boot of the car. Okay, I'm back. And yes, that's right, Kevin. A boot is the trunk of a car in British slang. That's what we call it. We call it the boot. So anyway, yeah, the vitriol in the comment section was just absolutely ridiculous. And I thought maybe I'll just show you. I'll just go through it. You know, these are all public comments. You all left them in a public place, so no one can complain or moan that their identity might be being shown. As far as I'm concerned, you made that comment and put yourself out in the open, and it's on my platform. I'm allowed to show the comments. So I'm going to do just that, okay? And we're going to go through what some people think about this whole thing and kind of the battles this is kind of caused, because there are a lot of people out there who are really, and I mean this, really angry that I would even suggest that they don't get to reign for 1,000 years with Christ. You know what I mean? It's kind of, they are furious that I would take that away from them. You know, and then there are some people who are just really angry that I would even mention it because they say it can make people lose faith. And I have a lot to say about that, which I'll probably say later on in this show. And then there are other people who are kind of just fully on board and get it, and they're fine with it. But then there's these other people who've kind of crawled into the comments section and have kind of tagged into it their own weird theological ideas. One guy was ranting on about how Paul isn't a real apostle, you know what I mean, and we shouldn't actually listen to a word he says, and how he's the Antichrist. But he was like attacking other people continuously, and it's like, where did I mention anything to do with that whatsoever in the video, and why is that even being talked about here right now? So it's things like that, you know. But it also brought with them New Agers who seem to be telling me they like the idea of the millennial reign, but they don't believe in God or Jesus. And then they were going to tell me about how God isn't real and how it's a consciousness and how it's all a form of source or something. It's kind of, it really brought everybody of every belief system to share their 2 cents, and it's rare that one topic can bring everybody together to argue with each other. It actually is, you know what I mean? Like I've been doing this for a while, and some subjects really have their niche people, but this one just seems to be bringing everybody out of the woodwork. It's a big deal. It turns out. So again, I'd like to share some of these comments. Let me just quickly get these comments actually up first of all, and let me just check the stats on this to see who I've got with me currently, because I had to close everything quickly before. But let me get content, live. There we go. Analytics. That's not working. I'm showing how inept I am right now with computers, aren't I? There we go. And let's make sure that doesn't just start playing in the background randomly. 45 people with us right now. That's a good number. That's nice. That's nice. Thanks for being here, guys. The audience has grown a lot over the past month. Actually, I've had a good September for growth of the channel. It's kind of annoying. I almost hit 100,000 views in September. I got something like 96.8 thousand or something like that. And that would have been a first for me to hit that many views in 1 month. So if only I had another day, maybe I could have just pushed it over, you know what I mean, and hit that. So that's a little bit of an annoying thing. But yeah, it's been a good month for the channel. I've had a lot of growth. I'm quite happy about it. And obviously it means these live shows have much of a bigger audience as well, which I'm also happy about. It's brought a lot of new people to the Telegram group, which is also wonderful. We're almost hit 300 members. There's a few things in there I want to share with you guys as well later, because it's just a treasure trove of information, the Telegram group. So if you haven't joined that already, check it out. But I'm going to get up some comments while I'm here quickly. Just close these tabs. I'm winging this one, by the way. I'm actually woefully underprepared. I roughly know what I want to say today. I'm just going to go with it as I go. But yeah, I've not mapped this one out as clearly as I would in the past for my other shows. Like I said, this is therapy for me today. I just want to rant about some things I've had to deal with, and maybe you can get an insight to what it's like to actually be somebody who makes videos on YouTube and has to deal with the flack whenever you talk about anything in particular. Right, so let me just share the screen here. Good stuff. And here we go. Right. So I'll zoom in a little bit to make it easier. There we go. So this is one of my most recent comments on the "Who Are We If Christ Already Reigned for 1,000 Years" video, as you can see here. And let's just read this. Okay, this is funny. So it says here, I don't know what I fully believe yet. I have come to fully believe in the Creator after my spiritual awakening a few years back, having been an atheist and mostly spiritually devoid my whole life. It's been a relationship with God, and I felt His unconditional love radiating through every fibre of my being. But Jesus has never been a part of this relationship. There's a lot of the Christ story in the Bible that just doesn't make sense to me. The Christianity basically says I have to believe in Christ to have a relationship with God, but that just hasn't been my experience. Christ's message was simple. The Bible isn't. It's convoluted and messy and hypocritical at times, and I don't care for some of the things that God does, and it seems to portray various lowercase g gods, like many other religions do. He comes across as a vengeful and almost petty, and to be feared, which is completely contrary and beneath the loving God that I know and love. And now, pause there, I'm not going to lie. He had me in the first half. And then it suddenly plummeted off a cliff edge by the third sentence. Let's keep going. I also don't understand how those in the truth community are also Christian, who are willing to question everything else, never seem to question that the Bible hasn't possibly been tampered with in some way over thousands of years, or that mistranslations haven't screwed up some of its meanings or representations, or they don't tend to trust or look into the multitude of books that were left out of the Bible. They hold some good information, and I probably trust some of those more because they were left out. There's also the fact that a lot of what's in the Bible comes straight from other ancient religions, from past civilizations, and a lot of the main religions are basically saying or telling similar stories and events. just in completely different ways. So they're telling the same stories and events in completely different ways. Let's just think about that sentence. You find the same archetypes in all of them. Oh, he's an archetype person. So I believe there is an outside energy made of pure unconditional love that resides in the highest frequency, and any of us can learn to tap into this. And I think we just go about it differently through various religions or spiritual practices. It's not about there being a right or wrong religion or faith, although some may be more true than others. It's about whatever can bring you to have a relationship with this loving source and knowing that it resides inside all of us and we can learn to tap into it at times. So God is a thing you tap into whenever you feel like it. We are all one, made of the same energy, and have some ability to tap into this collective consciousness. The evil of this world can fake a lot of things, but I don't believe it can manifest or generate these spiritually awakened feelings of love and God people seem to get from religions or spiritual practices. I just question everything, and although I do think there's truth to some of what the Bible, it's hard not to question it. Especially the KJV, which many seem to hold as the arbiter of being the right version, which makes no sense to me. When I've tried to seek out answers and reach out to Christ specifically, especially in times of great need, I've never really gotten any kind of reply like others claim I should. With all that said, so much of this millennial reign of Christ theory makes sense to me. Okay, so what does this guy believe? Especially when looking at history and the time you live in through this guise, and you didn't even touch on probably had the things that line up with it either. I do think there's some kind of spiritual cosmic battle taking place, and that there's an evil in this world, and I think it's been in control for quite some time, and it's basically perfected how to make people spiritually devoid and constantly vibrate the lowest level, as far away from the Creator's highest loving frequency as possible. It's also entirely possible that these kinds of events are cyclical and have been playing out again and again. On a different note, I can't entirely rule out reincarnation either, or some kind of soul trap or soul regeneration. I do think we are eternal beings, and having listened to many near-death experiences, as well as some pre-birth memories which share many attributes to near-death experiences, and it's hard to deny there's not something there. Many play out similarly. Many people describe going to another place and seeing some kind of entity, be it a religious figure, past family or friends, balls of light, energy, various alien-like beings, and something takes the form of something. Maybe whatever it thinks you need to see. Oh dear. And many people describe being love-bombed, followed by a large understanding of reality, or some kind of all-knowing knowledge. And many people don't want to come back here. Some are adamant and feel tricked or manipulated into doing so. They have these answers. They feel amazing and lose their ego, as they see they've lived out different iterations of people. And then right about the time they start to think, wait, what now? What's next? It tends to come crashing down like the end of a dream and starts to make sense and caves in on itself. I'm not sure if this is the millennial reign correlates in any way, but let's say they do. Maybe people have to come back because it's not your time yet. There's still things left for you to do. Many people describe hearing these types of phrases because we are still in the last season and the battle is yet to be fought, and we can't move on yet until this evil has been defeated. If the reign already happened, are people able to currently make it into heaven, or do they have to await Christ's ultimate return and victory? Well, okay, so this whole comment to me is just some kind of psychotic babble that has no logical reason or sense behind any of it, and I feel like it's lacking a few commas. But it's kind of this guy thinks God is a dissociative consciousness or source form of energy that projects all of us, but we are separate from it, yet we can tap into it whenever we feel and choose. Everything is love and energy. We are being kept in a low frequency by negative evil beings, and it's possible that we're living in the post-millennial kingdom of Christ, but Christ isn't real. Even though it seems like it is, I'm still choosing not to believe that he's real because I just can't get on board with it being real for some reason. But I do believe in God of the Bible, and that does make sense. But at the same time, it doesn't make sense because God is so... He's basically like full of cognitive dissonance. He's saying one thing after another that contradicts the last thing he says. And this poor person, I don't think has a clue what to believe. And I can empathize with him because in a way, I kind of went through this similar process of trying to battle with all these new age concepts I'd learnt and trying to square it with the biblical truths, which were self-evident to me. And to make it square, you end up coming down this weird Gnostic route where you kind of invent your own God of the Bible in a way. And one thing that struck me that he said, okay, is this idea that, well, he never came to me when I needed him. That kind of, it seems to all be based on this resentment that, well, every time I ask to speak to Christ, he doesn't talk to me. You know, when I needed his help, he didn't come. That type of thing. And I feel like I kind of have an answer for this. I answered, and this comes off the back of another comment I had, all right? So someone similar to this, who was going through a very similar process in his journey to waking up, shall I say, clearly heavily seeped in the New Age, was in the Telegram group. And he left a comment here recently saying, sorry if I wasted anyone's time, but I have to leave the group. I realized I'm replacing my goal for enlightenment with the goal of knowing God. Just like enlightenment, I see the signs, but I don't feel God, so I suffer. It hurts too much. And then they were gone. And this person had basically told me that, like, wouldn't really tell me what it is they believed when they first joined, but I could tell there was something weird going on with them. And they seem like they're having some kind of eternal struggle. And they've been let down by the gurus that they followed, the New Age gurus, and they weren't getting any closer to enlightenment. They were communicating with entities in the spirit realm that were lying to them, and he started to get the sense that these things weren't good. And he kind of joined our group, I think, looking to find out what God was all about. And I think he may have gleaned a bit of it from us, and you know, I kind of tried to help him along the way, drop his weird word salady, airy fairy woo woo type thinking which he had, you know, a very new agey perspective. And I tried to explain to him in a very matter of fact, straight down the line, straight to the point, not mincing my words type of way, that, listen mate, you just need to drop it, it's stupid and it's a lie. And eventually I got that random message there saying I'm leaving the group. And by the time I saw it, I don't know if he'd left or not, but I basically responded. I kind of snapped. It was early in the morning for me when I saw the message, you know, and when you have a toddler and you don't sleep much during the night and you see stuff like this, you just kind of, I just don't have time to like mollycoddle people, you know, and I just tell them, all right, listen, this is the deal with it type of thing. And if people can say I'm being too forward or harsh or whatever they want, but I'm just going to tell them the truth as far as I see it. So I said this in return. And I think what I'm saying here kind of applies to this other comment I got from this other new agey, kind of understands Jesus and God is real, but just doesn't want to accept Jesus type of people, you know, very seeped in the occult and the New Age perspective. And I just said this in response. I said, okay, mate, time for some tough love. Your pursuit of enlightenment is foolish, and I feel it has warped your perception of what to expect from a true spiritual relationship with God. First, you need to know that having a relationship with Jesus and God is not comparable to a form of enlightenment, and to equate the two as interchangeable and as basically the same thing is grossly ignorant. Promises of enlightenment are based on the promises that you are God. And if you do the correct mantras, meditations, substances or rituals, you will unlock that latent potential. A relationship with Jesus and the Father is something that can't be unlocked by performing the correct ritual or saying the right words or having all the knowledge. To know them takes time. and requires you to humble yourself and first accept you are a fallen and wretched sinner who needs saving and can't do it alone. Once you accept this and start building a real relationship with God, but building any relationship, trust must be built first. And it requires a back and forth over time to show you're actually sincere in your efforts. Start by getting to know them and become someone they might actually want to know. Read the Word, work on dropping your addictions, and focus on helping others. Drop this lust to want to know all the mysteries because it's rooted in wanting to feel clever. Pride. Seeing signs doesn't make you clever or special, and I'm not sure you understand that seeing numbers repeatedly likely isn't of God, but a trick to make you think you're special by demons. God has not forsaken you, but He isn't going to speak to you or give you a vision either. He will change you with the Holy Spirit and burn away slowly and painfully the chaff that's weighing you down and keeping you focused on the lusts of this world. He will work a work in your life, but like I said, it is a slow and painful process, and you will be forced to confront a lot of your shortcomings and failures. So you understand why you need a saviour to begin with. You will be reduced to a puddle of filth and anguish first. Then you will be built back up into a true child of God who walks upright in faith and can actually help people. But that takes time. Haven't you been in this group for less than a week, maybe? Can you honestly say, in the grand scheme of things, that you have actually given enough time and effort into building a relationship with God? Relationships aren't built overnight, but through a mutual back and forth of small mercies and building trust over years. They require work. Real, tangible, and mutually beneficial works that show sincere love and desire to put the other before yourself. And so far, your pathetic pity party statement about leaving this group seems very much about yourself and how you don't feel like you have what you want from a relationship with God. There's a reason these are considered the two most important commandments. You shall love your Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is this: you shall love your neighbour as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. Mark 12:30 through 31. So the point I'm making there in this, and I think the point I need to answer to this other comment I got here, this idea that you should just be able to ask God for something or Jesus and they should just give it to you. And this is the whole idea of, even in this end times, there'll be many people who will come to Jesus and say, didn't we prophesy in your name? Didn't we do so much thing in your name? And he's like, away from it. I don't know who you are. I never knew you. And it's kind of, why should Jesus and God just answer your prayers? What have you actually sincerely made any effort to get to know them? Or are you a stranger to them? Realistically, why should a stranger do anything for you? And I get it, Jesus does love us. God does love us all, and Jesus has compassion and wants to help every man, But you have to put some real effort and work into it yourself. You got to prove that you actually care. You actually want salvation in any way. It's a free gift for anyone who wants to take it. But actually make the effort to take it, and don't just assume praying a couple of times and speaking to the air is going to somehow make miracles happen in your life. It takes more. It really takes a sincerity. And I think God knows when you're sincere. He knows when you're actually being genuine and want to actually know them and build a relationship with them. And I think He also knows when you simply just want a shortcut to be happy, which is not what God is. God isn't a shortcut. You know, it's not an easy way out. That's not what it is, you know, and it's also not a means to gain enough knowledge to to know loads of things and be better than other people. That's not what it is. And I guess that's my response to that. You know, and this is just one of the things I had to deal with 6 hours ago. This weird little comment, and you know, I think that response to him is basically my response to this question as well. Anyway, let's go through some more comments. Okay, so somebody says here, does this mean that we've already done it wrong once? I would say to this, it's not that we did it wrong necessarily, though I'm sure some of us probably did and lived terrible, horrible lives, or we did disgusting, horrible things. If this is, again, this is if, and only if, we are in the little season and we are these resurrected peoples who lived before Christ. Not 100%, just speculating on the idea if it is true, okay? It's likely we lived during a time where fulfilling the law and living by the law was practically impossible. So we may have even been righteous people who tried our best, but we probably fell short to the point where it wasn't enough, you know, and the grace and mercy which Jesus Christ offers wasn't quite there for us yet. That's why we're in this period now, you know. So it's not that we did, not necessarily that we all did it wrong, but it's that we lived during a time before the solution was present, type of thing. So someone said here, I don't know, we'll see. There's a good number of alien abductees that were told by demons / aliens that they would return in 2025. That's a different video, never mind. Let's find another one. So people telling me information about numbers and the Dark Ages and things like that. People actually shared quite a lot of nice information, trying to square it themselves. And that's quite good, to be honest. I got quite decent, nice comments as well. You know, I appreciate all the work and love you put into every one of your videos. Keep up the amazing work, and I appreciate that. I do put a lot of my heart and soul into these talks. Maybe too much, who knows? Cello Curve sent an interesting one saying, well, there's a 2,600-year-old tree in North Carolina. Because I did make a stupid passing comment in this video again without elaborating. But I was basically saying, you know, well, it does seem like something happened at the end of the Millennial Reign, you know, and all these people vanished and then were replaced by these new people. And it just seems bizarre that there aren't really many trees on the earth that are over like 200, 400 years old. It seems like all the trees are quite young, you know. And we all remember that show, that No Forest on Flat Earth, that came out about 3 or 4 or 5 years ago now, which explained all this. And then someone came out saying, well, I've got a 2,600-year-old tree near me. And it's like, yeah. I know. We have some really old trees in the UK as well. Some claim to be like 4,000 years old and things like that, you know, but whatever. But you look at them, and I've looked into it, you know, the Wikipedia. There's like 60 trees on the whole earth that are supposed to be old, you know, like 4,000, 5,000, 2,000, all that type of thing. There's only like 60. Like my street has more trees than that on it. You know what I mean? And it's kind of, that's not enough. Trees grow in forests. Where are the forests of 6,000-year-old trees? They don't exist. And these incredibly old trees that do exist, they look battered. They look haggard to hell. They look absolutely destroyed. And they're barely growing. You know what I mean? They're just in bits. And it's kind of like, yeah, these things live through something by the skin of their teeth. Barely. Where are the rest of them? You know what I mean? I think that was kind of my point. And I kind of said that in a nicer way in the comment there. And I think, you know what? I'm going to make a video about this. About where the hell are all the old trees? You know what I mean? Let's look at the old trees and just how crap they all are. And how few there actually are. In fact, there's so few, right, that they are like a monument on Google Maps. They have their own symbol that they put on them as like a go visit the old tree in the area type of thing. And there aren't many. There's not enough of these trees. And what it basically says is that there was some kind of disaster that leveled everything in the not so distant past. Okay, and all the trees had to start again, type of thing, relatively speaking. Which is just interesting. So I might make a video about that. Anyway, keep going. Let's keep going. Some idiot randomly just said, that wasn't very friendly of God. He sure likes killing us. And it's like, oh, give over, you absolute sponge. Like, shut up. What a wet wipe. Like, oh, why God do bad thing? You know what I mean? Like, God can't be real because bad stuff happens. It's like, oh my God. Ugh. And I don't know where he got that from. At what point did I say God likes killing us all? You know what I mean? And it's like, first of all, who the hell is saying we don't deserve to be killed, or some of these people didn't deserve to be killed? Like, a lot of these people he's talking about bringing fire down from heaven and destroying while they encircle the camps of the saints were there to kill all the saints. Alright? They must have been pretty bad people to justify in their own mind encircling the city of Jesus and the saints with the sole intention of butchering them all. Right? So, what? I'm so sorry God killed all these vicious murderers. How evil of him. I don't know. They're just stupid comments based in ignorance. And I think people like this are just purposely trying to get reactions out of people. I don't know. But yeah, not a big brained argument, but let's keep going. This was, yeah. So like I said, a lot of interesting information kind of gets thrown in there. People sharing their opinions one way or the other in a respectable manner. That did happen. This one says, I believe the year is what it is said to be, and that his return will be in 10 years' time. In 10 years, on Easter or Ascension Day, will be exactly 2,000 years since his departure. I do not know this for a fact, but I believe it to be accurate, and I've arrived at this conclusion from my own research and contemplations of all things collectively. I don't believe anything mainstream say, and almost nothing alternative sources say. I will verify it myself. What I see is more and more people coming to Christ. The most anti-Christian people have become Christian, myself included. There's a reason for this. We are getting near the end. So that's an interesting concept, that whether it's the millennial kingdom or not, I suppose, even though this person believes we're not in that time, it's about to come. The millennial kingdom is about to come, and they've come to their own conclusion that it's in 10 years' time, for whatever that research that led them there, I'm not sure. But it says here, by the end of 2026, I shall know definitely whether this is correct or not. By 2029, I will know definitely one way or the other, and it changes nothing of importance if I'm wrong. And that's kind of a point I've kind of been coming to, whether we are in the little season where Satan's loosed and he's going to gather an army to go against the camp of saints, or whether we're in the tribulation period just before Jesus comes back and reigns for 1,000 years, we are still in some kind of apocalyptic end time event. Okay, we're still getting judged one way or the other. All right. Does it matter necessarily which time we're in? What should matter is that we are just right with God, surely, because we don't know. The stuff we just do not know. We can have good ideas, but if we have been deceived and lied to so much by Satan, how can we possibly know where we actually are, and who we actually are? So all we can do is be prepared for all things, of course, but that's it, really. That's all we can do, isn't it? And we shouldn't be hanging our hats on anything. Because this is the thing, I suppose I'll get into this now. I mean, someone did leave a comment. Let me just, oh, this was a good one. I can't get past how strange you look. And then, for some reason, they added another comment underneath. Gog and Magog. It's like, what the hell does that mean? What does the second comment have to do with the first? Are these people just speaking out loud when they hear stuff without giving any context to why they're typing it down? I don't get this. I can't get past how strange you look thing. It's like, well, what is it? Are my eyes too close together? Is my skin too pale? Is my beard too ginger? Is my hair too golden strawberry blonde? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the issue is. I've been getting a lot of people calling me a reptile lately as well. Those people have been coming out of the woodworks. I asked him to describe strange, but I got nothing, and that was 20 hours ago, so we'll see. This person asked a question. Okay then, the pieces are fitted together, but I can't help but ask how all the souls that lived before the Millennial Reign got here. Survivors of Armageddon that reproduce maybe vessels for those souls? So this is an idea. Like, okay, so how did the earth suddenly just get repopulated after the saints left, with Jesus after the Millennial Reign? And the first theory would be that, the Millennial Reign has stuck around, reproduced, repopulated the earth, and these new people being born were filled with the spirits of the old people who were in waiting from a previous time. I suppose that's one way you could have said it, but that's not. It's not what it says. What happened, really, is it? It kind of explains that that Jesus leaves with the saints, and people have theorized, well, they go to the center of the earth, then the Rupus Negra, Eden in the middle of the North Pole or whatever. That's where they've gone, and they're sat there waiting for the final war now. In the little season. And from what I gathered, this fits in with what Mind Unveiled has talked about quite a lot. About the Cabbage Patch Kids. These children that literally just the earth kind of just spewed them out, like from the ground, basically as infants. But there's this other concept as well. What if literally people who were around before the Millennial Reign, who died during the tribulation period, you know what I mean? A lot of those people would have been adults, not really old, feeble old men or young children. And is it possible that they literally, in the form they were when they died, in like a blink of an eye, they just blinked one day and they were on a planet that was empty. Sorry, a planet. They were on an Earth that was a slip of of the programming I'm still trying to get rid of. But no, they were on the Earth, basically, just randomly there. They blinked their eye and there they were. They were like, "Well, what's going on?" A second ago I was in Rome, and now I'm just suddenly in this weird place full of these huge buildings everywhere. And then they suddenly sort of hear some crying. It's like there's a lot of these babies just lying around all over the place, coming out of the ground, and it's kind of like, what the hell's going on? And then they had to just kind of rebuild from there. They just that's it. Like all these, all the children that didn't make it. All the there must have been just people of all ages just randomly appeared. And this is the thing. As they lived and died, more souls were just continuously being inserted back into the world by the next people who birthed the next people. And as generations went on, they kind of forgot that happened. And it was kind of like a thing of the past or a confusion of the past. And Satan worked his magic, manipulated history, changed the coins, changed the dates on things. And, as information wasn't so freely available, then each passing generation didn't question the last as much. And then we ended up just being told a lie about our history. And here we are now, But it seems like there was a period of time in the past where people just appeared. and it also seems like maybe they were kind of like, what did I say here? Honestly, I have no idea. It's as though they just appeared. This could explain the orphan train phenomena. And it's like there were wardens or people here who organised the repopulation effort. So maybe angels were around that looked like men. All these pictures you see of these, these civilizations in these destroyed, these cities in this dusty, mud-filled land, And there's these people with top hats just walking around all over the place. It's kind of like, and then you have an underling class just walking around all over the place, looking lost, not really knowing what to do. Maybe these other men with mustaches and top hats were like the wardens from heaven there to orchestrate and set people right and get them going again or something. I don't know. I honestly haven't got a clue. Maybe it's like the Watchers who didn't rebel and mate with women and were actually good. Those Watchers came back and put man straight for a little bit and got him on the path. Said, right, get going. Okay, you're sorted now. You're up to date. And then Satan took over after that. Maybe I don't know. I don't have answers for this. Only pure questions and speculation. I don't have the answer yet. Like I said, just the words written in Revelations 25 is literally all we've got. And then someone says, research real Cabbage Patch babies, no joke. Yeah. So, that's old information now. Though I do believe they've just released a book about it. Mind Unveiled, I think I saw today, they've released a book explaining about all these Cabbage Patch babies that were just everywhere in media, which is weird, People talking about the Mandela effect. I don't know why. And this was a nice comment. I like this one. It said, this subject is on my shelf of wonder too, Paul. Pre or post millennium, the walk is the same for the individual that claims to seek and love the Creator. After reading a few responses, after reading a few responses, a thought or two occurred to me. One thing for sure, it brings out the best and worst of behaviour among those that believe or pretend to believe in the Creator. It seems to cause people to forget the behaviour and a commandment of loving their brethren and even their enemies. A slugfest of slander ensues. One thing I see is the kind of sifting of the masses going on, or better said, a polarization. Walkers and the talkers. It's crazy but not surprising the sheer amount of bravery people have to say the worst things from a position of anonymity. The cognitive dissonance is like a metal detector of sorts sometimes. The verbal saber rattling hints that you are over the target, and the demons don't like it at all. We need to know about this subject, true or false or partially true, as many souls will be justifiably inquiring about it. And that is why I place it on my shelf of wonder. Thank you for looking into it and sharing your thoughts. Stay thirsty, my friend, for the truth. And I like that phrase, the shelf of wonder. And I suppose that is, I suppose I have a few things on my shelf of wonder personally in the back of my mind, that I've kind of, it's like, well, I'm going to put that up there for now because I just do not know what to make of it. But it's certainly fascinating. And that's what this subject is. And then some crazy guy comments, starts saying, well, what's your definition of love? Which, again, I don't know what that has to do with anything. It has nothing to do with anything whatsoever. But he felt passionate about it to write this huge comment. And then someone else was commenting, just laying into this James guy about all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, why are you... I just deleted him in the end. It's my chat room. I delete it if I want to. And he was just being. I normally don't, but he was just being an arsehole. Plain and simple, he was, and there was no need to rip into this guy, for like this so hard for no reason because he didn't believe what you believe about Paul or something like that. And I just got rid of him. I'm like, that's not a space for that. And I said to the guy, don't pay attention to him. He's clearly insane and obsessive. I appreciate your comment, and I'm grateful you reached out to me, and I love the phrase shelf of wonder. I'll be using that one. God bless you, brother. So that's where it is. And then this guy's like, will you please define your usage of the word love? It's like, why? What the hell are you talking about? Lunatics. If you're not careful, Justin, I'll be deleting you too. And he's like, will you define your use of insane? I suspect you would have called Jesus insane and obsessive if you had met him during the time walking this earth, especially after the flipping of the tables. I also suspect that you would simply avoid answering the question. I don't know, of course, but it seems to me that you lack faith in him to engage others in good faith. Even if he is insane, surely you could at least invoke Jesus' name to help him see the truth. It's like, don't gaslight me, he was crazy, right? He was being an absolute arsehole to this person. He didn't have any good faith. Why should I respond in kind? And from that kind of behaviour and attitude, and this one as well, it's like, you don't want a response, you want an argument, shut up. I'm not stupid. And I don't know, these people are the worst. You just get it, you get it every day, every minute of every day I'm getting comments like this. It's like, who are these people? What is this chip on your shoulder? You need to come to a nice guy who left a nice comment just pointing out how people are being bad, and then you come up to him and act like a bad person. It's like you prove their point much. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, I appreciate your comment there, James. Thanks for leaving it. It was lovely. So yes, you get it all. You get it all. You get a lot of random comments here. I have like 300 to get through, and I'm not going to be able to get through them all, so I'll start summing it up in a little way. But most people liked it, but it also brought out some really vitriolic crazies, just crazies. What's this comment? The devil and evil don't exist after the 1,000-year reign, except in hell, and this place isn't bad enough to be hell. It's like, well, first of all, Black Clam, that is just completely biblically inaccurate. It literally says in Revelations 20 verse 6, I think, and the devil was released after the 1,000 years to reign for a little season. So the devil don't exist after the 1,000-year reign is just wrong. It's actually just hideously, heinously incorrect, that statement. And it's like, you know that, right? Do you know that? Are you just saying this to just be that guy? I don't know. And who thumbed it up? Yourself? Probably yourself. That'll get it going, right? I don't know. And people got confused about this idea of reincarnation. It's appointed for a man to only die once, then judgment type of thing. And it's like, well, is it reincarnation? Reincarnation is very much an Eastern concept of soul energy recycling after every death and coming back into the world as something else, you know. It's not necessarily reincarnation what God's doing here. I wouldn't call it, it's more akin to resurrection in a way. But I think, you know, an endless soul cycle, no, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's how we exist, you know. But a loving, merciful God who controls everything, bringing back the souls of those people who didn't get a chance of salvation to have one more chance, I can believe that. Do we have to call it reincarnation and then blaspheme it and say, no, that can't be right? You know, that's evil and wrong to say such things. It's like nothing is out of the power of God. He can literally do whatever he wants whenever he wants. He has, you know, and then Jesus brought people back from the dead. What are you talking about? Are they reincarnated? Wasn't he appointed to die once? And no, it's mercy. That's what it is. It's grace. It's a gift. It's a chance. It's an opportunity. It's not reincarnation. I don't know. And then this, you know, EQOA Nostalgia. Nice guy. I like him. I respect him. He disagrees with me on this one. And he's made that clear in the comments. Fair enough, you know, but his comment is this, so it's the other side. He says, looking at the comments around this stuff, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, brother. Then he quotes, you know, to shun the profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness, and the word will eat as doth a canker, and whom a Hymenaeus and Philetus, who concerning the truth have erred, saying that the resurrection has passed already, and overthrow the faith of some. So he's saying here, you know, talking about this stuff and saying that the resurrection has already happened will ruin the faith of people, so stop talking about it. And he says, this video, and I know you don't support the claims, is supporting things that Scripture is very much against, even in theory. Scripture dealt with this issue in the past, and it overthrew the faith of some people. Okay, so my response to that was, you know, I get what you're saying, and I know you know I'm only hashing out this theory to its logical conclusions for posterity's sake, but to be honest, I'm a Christian, and I'm not waiting to be raptured or saved from persecution or suffering in this life. To be honest, I wouldn't be walking like Christ if I was banking on getting to avoid such things, with a rapture, then a peaceful 1,000 years. I'm not saying it won't happen, but my faith is not reliant on it happening. If people lose faith because they might not get to reign with Christ for 1,000 years, or may not get taken away before bad things happen, then I would say the foundation of their faith should be in serious question. And you know, this is where I get to like the root of my issue here. You know what I mean? This whole thing, it's severely upset a lot of people, you know, who are banking on getting to be taken up before all the bad stuff goes down, and then getting to reign with Christ for 1,000 years. They are literally, their entire faith hinges on that. Do you know what I mean? Like, and if that doesn't happen to them, they will lose all faith in God. You know, and that's it. They won't believe in him anymore. It was all a lie. I was promised I wouldn't have to suffer. I was promised that I get taken up in the sky. I was promised, you know, that I get to reign with Christ for 1,000 years, and it's not happened. Here I am in tribulation, and I'm getting punished, and I'm suffering, and everything's happening bad to me, and Christ has come back, and it's actually aliens or something, you know, and there is no 1,000-year reign. And it's kind of like, your faith will get lost very easily if you're waiting for something that's already happened. And if the devil is going to reenact something similar to what Christ did when he came back the first time, I believe he would do it through like a fake alien invasion of some kind. And then everyone will point to the Christians and go, ha ha, you were crazy. It was aliens, not Jesus, you know. And then people will lose their faith because they'll see these wonders in the sky and they'll be like, oh, it was right, I was wrong. Oh my God, I was wrong. It wasn't Jesus, you know. It was all just a lie. It's aliens all along. It's kind of like, this is why you shouldn't be basing your entire faith on getting to avoid all the problems. You know, you shouldn't base, your faith should not be based on, well, I don't have to suffer if I believe in Jesus. You know, that's not right. That's fundamentally wrong. You know what I mean? Jesus suffered more than anybody. Like, it was horrible what happened to him, you know? And why? What makes you think you don't have to deal with all of that if you were to walk like he did? You know, this world will reject you and make you suffer. That's how it works. And it's kind of it's not sincere, is it? It's just something that I feel like. Actually, I wasn't raised in a Christian life. You know, I wasn't raised in a church. I don't have these world. I wasn't taught this stuff. My faith in God was not based on reading about the rapture and the 1,000-year reign. I had faith in God well before I even knew about any of that stuff, because He saved me from a life of destruction. You know. And I built a relationship with the guy that was working and showing me and humbling me and teaching me and helping me grow spiritually. And it's kind of, I already have faith in him. He is my savior. It's my God. And it's pretty unshakable, and I haven't once considered that, oh, well, maybe I get to go and be in the 1,000-year reign with him. I haven't even thought about it, and I still have faith in him. But if some people out there will lose their faith when this doesn't happen, it's alien to me. I don't get it. It's like, that's what your faith was based on? Sounds pretty selfish. So you only love Jesus Christ because you think you don't. If you say that, you don't get to suffer during tribulation. That's the only reason you like him. That you're using him to get into heaven. Is that basically it? You know what I mean? Like, that's literally your attitude towards it all. Like, that's what it feels and sounds like to me. As somebody who didn't have that kind of seems like a very American thing, this whole rapture stuff. They don't talk about that kind of thing in England ever. It's a cultural difference. I think I don't know what it is, but again, you know, EQ brother, I love you, but I'm gonna have to stand on a point here. If people's faith are going to be shaken by by talking about the possibility that we're in the little season, then I question their faith. I question the strength and the basis of their faith. I really do. That's just me. That's just what Paul says. That's not, I could be wrong. It might not matter what I think. He's God's in control at the end of the day. But as a person, as a human, as a man, that's what I think. As a corrupted, infallible man, sure. That's kind of my take on all that. I don't know. It's just something about it just feels off. Like wonderful. It'd be great, if I'm wrong, it's if everybody's wrong about this little season thing, and Christ is right around the corner, then great, something to look forward to, wonderful good news, and we get to reign for 1,000 years with him. But I am prepared for that not to be the case, and I'm not living my life as though that is the case. And this quote, concerning the truth averred, saying that resurrection is past already, and overthrow the faith of some. Wasn't all this stuff maybe said literally before the 1,000-year reign anyway? And is that only relevant to the people of that time? If people say it now, in the time frame, then it's not wrong to say such things now. Because if we are in the little season and saying stuff like that, then it's the truth. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of you saying the Bible says specifically never to talk about this theory. I don't think it said that. I don't think it said don't ever talk about the theory. I think in this specific time frame when this thing was said, it was relevant then. But if it's the little season now, then it is not relevant anymore in terms of context. It was relevant then, of course, and it should be in the Bible and it should be there. But in terms of taking it as advice for the little season, then that would be grossly ignorant and the wrong thing to do, because we need to know that we're in the little season to not be deceived by what's coming. You know what I'm saying here? People in the chat, I'm not crazy, right, thinking these things. I'm only trying to be logical about what I'm kind of reading here, and as logical as I can be talking about spiritual concepts, of course, but I don't know, I'm not looking to argue or lose people over this. But some people are willing to blow everything up and cut ties and burn bridges over this, and it's kind of sad. In a way, I don't think that's what Jesus intended this millennial kingdom to do. I don't think the intention of that was to utterly destroy relationships of Christians and people who want to be with him. I don't know, and it's kind of Okay, maybe I need to take a break. I'm going to take a break from reading all this. Let's look at the comments, shall we? So I'm going to flip the screen back to a nice slideshow of clown-related stuff. Shall we do that? Yeah, let's do that. There we go. And that's just going to reel through 100 images for you. Let's go to the chat. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what people are saying. So there's not actually that many. That means people were listening. Good. People were listening. Right, so let me go to this. We've got a decent amount of people here with us right now. That's cool. And I'm just going to make sure I'm on live chat so I don't miss anything. And let's see what's going on. Drunk Wedding Photographer, thanks for being here. I'll admit, had it not been for a random stolen history video I saw a couple of years ago, I would not have found my way here. Yeah, no, well, fair enough, yeah. Whatever works, I think a lot of information gets released at its appropriate time for generations that need to hear a specific message to gain more faith. That's for sure. Maybe this is one of those, Maybe it's just there to make people actually think. I don't know, because it's hard to actually officially know stuff like this. Tartaria, Mud Flood, Little Seas, and Old World theories make way more sense to me than us landing on the moon with technology from the Stone Ages, but that's just me. Yeah, I understand that. Happy Sunday to all, says Moon Mirage. Made it to alive, yeah. Thanks for being here. Hi Wendy, thanks for being here. Hi Amelia. The audio wasn't working, but it is now. Humble Stranger, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Loud and clear, excellent. Sounds fine. I hope it didn't cut out at any point while I was talking, but it seems all good. My wife found the tripod. That's all great. At the end of the day, who the hell knows anything about anything? We all know just as much as the next person does. We can't even predict tomorrow's weather. That's true. That is very true. Someone said it was a Mandela effect, but it's always been revelation, not revelations. Okay. Look into ancient Jewish weddings to understand revelation reference to God making a home for his people. Ancient Jewish weddings to understand revelation references to God making a home for his people. Okay, I will. All right. Just learned about boot means trunk. There we go. The dust man is coming for the wheelie bins. I don't know what that means. The bin man's coming for the wheelie bins. We call them bin men here, not dust men. Hi everyone. E-Joyce Artwork, thanks for being here. I've got your artwork hanging up on our wall now. Thanks for sending that. I appreciate it. People get upset about eschatology. They do. They really do. A day with God is like 1,000 years. Yes, but it can also be a day if he wants it to be. This is another thing about that phrase. People really hang on these random little moments and these phrases as though God can't live in our time perception either. I think he can do both. I think that's supposed to emphasize that he is not confined to the rigid structure of time like we are. He's outside of it. I think that's all that's really trying to say. That isn't to say he can't perceive time like we do if he wishes to. Real descendants of Christ. I'm King Solomon greeting. Oh, wonderful. Atheists are obsessed with God, says Kay. That's true. Jesus' first miracles at a wedding on the third day. There was a wedding, okay. So this is 1,000 years, is the third day, okay. I share this channel and other channels if these types of topics are brought up. I hope everyone comes to learn. Good job, brother, on your research, says Moon Mirage. Oh, thank you, that's great. Whoa, homie wrote an entire thesis. I know, right? I know. Like I said, that first comment I showed, it's like, I believe in God, and I used to be an atheist, and I've come to find the love of God in my life. But I don't believe in Jesus Christ, and I'm a new age hippie. It's basically what happened there. It's kind of like, whoa, a total 180 suddenly got made after the third sentence. It's like you're on the right track there for a little bit, then it just plummeted off a cliff edge very quickly. I just thought that comment was funny. So glad I finally found you live, says Donna and Truth. Oh, well, thanks for being here, Donna. Poor fool doesn't realise Jesus is king, Jesus is our saviour. It's okay for God to judge, not everyone gets into heaven. Good morning from San Francisco Coast, says Susan. Thanks for being here. Hard to cure people of their nonsense New Age beliefs. It sure is. It's insidious and pervasive. I dare anyone to research it, even if they don't believe. If they are honest, it will be clear the Bible is fact and God sent his son to save us. That's right. Christ doesn't answer everybody. No, that's true. That's what I tried to say. This is a tough issue. Kanga Kong, thanks for being here. It's great to see you. Sometimes the answer is no. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like sometimes he's going to say no. Like you need to do more. I'm afraid. Um, Pray for this person, yo. That's what we need to do at the end of the day. Yeah, I'm not trying to mock these people. Um, I feel like that the paragraphs I read to you about what these people said are representative of a lot of people, not just the individual who said them. I think a lot of people en masse have these type of thoughts and feelings and viewpoints which are just based in nonsense. So I say them because I know it will resonate with a lot of other people out there who hold similar beliefs. It's kind of, I'm hoping they can see that we're not crazy. Like, as Christians, you know what I mean. I think they have a lot of preconceived notions about what Christians are like prior to listening to someone like me speak, who comes at it from a slightly different um, basis, I suppose. I came at it from a different angle. And I kind of want them to realise we're actually just normal, sound, down to earth people who just don't want you believing in nonsense. You know what I mean? It's like we actually were you at one point. That's the point. Like we've been through it, we've done it. You know what I mean? And we're kind of, I suppose I am anyway. I'm a bit exasperated dealing with the same thing over and over again. It's kind of I've been there, done that type of stuff, but maybe I need to work on my own patience for that matter. Let's keep going. Revelations, when read as history, makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Do wrote an essay. Yeah. This is, I mean, these people leave long comments, and it's kind of like that took a lot of time. Like what I said has clearly impacted them so much that they felt the need to write a 10,000 word thesis. You know what I mean? To give me a dissertation. Although I didn't see many references in that one, but it's that kind of thing. It's kind of, if someone took the time to write that, whether I think they're right or wrong, I should probably at least give some response. And sometimes it's easier just to say what I think than type it. So here's me giving them a response in a live show. We'll see if they actually see it or not. I don't know. I'm not planning on coming back here. Sounds like a soul trap. Yeah. He's the type of person who believes God and prayer is like making 3 wishes off a lamp. That's what I mean. Yeah. He wants to hold on to the Matrix, but wants to be saved. He's in 2 places at the same time, lukewarm. That's what I mean. I could feel the cognitive dissonance throughout the whole speech as I read it. It's kind of like you have no idea what you believe, do you? You are lost. He's like he's in a whirlwind of theory. You know what I mean? And he hasn't got anything to hold on to while the storm happens around him. And it's kind of, that's why you need Jesus. He is the rock. He is the foundation. He is the thing to grab while everything's going crazy, to keep you to the ground. You know what I mean? To stop you from flying off into the ether. I hope he gets that. I really do. Um, Mollycoddle. Yeah. Do you like that word? I don't use that word often. I just thought it was a funny sounding British colloquialism, as they say. Without knowing what I meant, assumed I got it wrong. Interesting. Okay. Be sweet, not spicy. That view is probably the majority right now in the West. I'm not sure what view that was in context to. That's such a kind, articulate response. I hope the person read it and was open to the words. He may have vanished before he had a chance to read it. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll track him down and send in the message again. But yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. But I did, as soon as he joined the group, I could tell he was one of those people who has no idea what to do or what to believe. And he's kind of disillusioned by the new age. And I just told him straight, it was all lies. Pay attention to what we're saying. You'll get the gist of it eventually, But it seems like something made him snap at one point, and he just said, trying to seek God is like trying to find enlightenment. It's the same thing. So I'm going to go back to trying to find enlightenment. This kind of what? That seems to be what he did. He backtracked basically, and he probably realizes, it's too much responsibility to try and get to know God. And maybe it's easy just to keep trying to go down this enlightenment route instead or something. I don't know. He's trying to get there by his own means. He has too much pride to ask for help, I guess, is the issue. And that's usually the issue for many people who don't want to accept Christ. It's they don't want to admit that they need help. It's pride. It's always pride. That's always the major sin that it always comes back to. Everything is vanity. Everything is pride, We get all ecclesiastical about this. I've been watching Golden Age pass since 2017. Love that more people are talking about Mudflood Armageddon these days. Mudflood was Armageddon. Hi, Rolly. Mudflood was Armageddon. Are you the guy who literally told me I was advocating murder because I said that the Nephilim aren't human? I think you are. You have some nerve showing up here right now and trying to act like you didn't make those videos. Whenever I feel God doesn't answer my prayers, I think of the story about the guy who was stuck on his roof during a hurricane and asked God for help. That's right. Yeah. Oh, and yeah, I sent you a helicopter, a boat, and a plane, and you didn't take any of it. Yeah. Mudflood was Armageddon. Cool name. Your heart is sick. Mad Max. Okay, I don't know what he's saying there. Did I miss a comment? Has someone been banned? Has someone been removed? I must have missed something there. I don't know what's going on. Let me just go over to the other chat on this one. Maybe it'll show me. CFR Network's here. Thanks for being here, man. Good to see you. Any news on when the podcast we did is going to get released? I'm curious. Good night, all, says CFR. So he's gone. Maybe I missed him. Let me view the deleted message. Yeah, it's another one of those angry responses, isn't it? Why do I need to be saved in the first place? What kind of sick God would make that a possibility? He created us for us to come crawling back to him, asked to be saved. What the hell? It's kind of like, that's just such an ignorant, stupid way of viewing the world. Mad Max, I don't know what to... your mind is made up, you know what I mean? But it's kind of like, why do you want a God that doesn't give you any freedom to make mistakes? He's a God that not only lets you make mistakes, but has also created an avenue for you to return back to him when you finally admit you made a mistake. Like, he's not an evil, cruel, vindictive God. He's just a God that lets you do and make your own choices. And you just don't like that. You're upset that he gave you free will, basically. And it's kind of, well, it says more about you than God, I think, to have that kind of reaction. Anyway, keep going. I'll go to read all the comments. I think it's useful. It is, it is, honestly. You can see from the comments that the kind of thoughts people have had around this subject, and it's vast and it's no one has any common ground, really. There's a lot of factions around this, and you should always be wary of these type of these theories that come about that cause so many factions to gather around them. It happened with the Mandela effect. It happened with Flat Earth. It happened with Tartaria, clearly, and the Millennial Reign stuff. It happens with every major conspiracy topic. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I like talking about the metadata like that. I like talking about those type of things and the observations and the factions that get created. That's kind of what my channel was always about. And I think it's good for us to be retrospective about our own communities and maybe to examine the factions that created and be wary not to try and just openly just join one really quick, because we don't know. There's stuff we don't know, and we don't know what we don't know. And it's kind of, if we're truly honest with ourselves as conspiracy theorists, The lack of information means we should be careful about the ones we choose to align ourselves to. There are some things we can know, but with these all-encompassing tautology type ones, we've got to be careful. It's like have the information, but don't put all your eggs in one basket type of thing. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Dudes be selling their soul or be of fallen bloodlines pretending to be shocked they can't speak to Yah. That's true, yeah. I do get that, yeah. I have a blog post about an old tree in my hometown. I read it during wedding photography, yeah. Yeah, I read that, yeah. Interesting post. Obviously, I think you use that, don't you, for your photography business to sell it as like a place to take photos. It looks like a beautiful tree. But yeah, there's quite a few of those trees all over the earth, but there's not enough. There's not enough considering how old the Earth is supposed to be. So not only does it not line up with scientific understandings, but it does line up to biblical history that cataclysms have happened which have reset the trees, So it's fascinating. But if the Earth was millions of billions of years old, we should have bigger trees. That's for sure. Older, bigger trees. Mountains are old, big trees. Yes, I remember all that. No forest on flat Earth theory was amazing. A real eye opener and a perspective shifter. I remember that one. And I'm going to do a video about it. I'm going to recap it all and revise it, review it all in hindsight. Now it's years after the fact, and see what we can muster from it all. But there's certainly evidences to say that a lot of these flat top mesas we see are tree stumps. It's certainly a fascinating perspective anyway, whether it's true or not. It's fun to speculate about. Did some teenager just chop down a 300-year-old tree in England? A sycamore gap tree? He did. Yeah, I looked into that article after somebody mentioned it on the Telegram group. And it seems like some old guy and some teenager were having some dispute with the local council. So in the most petty way possible, they thought, well, screw you, I'm going to cut down this tree. just to annoy you, basically. I'm going to get rid of one of our main heritage sites for our area just to screw you over, just because you screwed me over, type of thing. It was just an act of British pettiness, like, oh, you won't give me what I want? Well, I'm going to cut down this old tree. And it was just stupid from what I can see, but I need to look into it more. But that's a funny story. That's definitely a funny story. As a kid sitting in a Southern Baptist church, I felt like I was sitting in the aftermath of something big, not waiting for it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I suppose I've kind of, in a similar way, always had that feeling, like forever, or even before finding faith in God and going through the motions and all that sort of stuff. This theory, although I don't know if it is true or not, it feels like it's right. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things where it's like, oh, I see. You know what I mean? That makes sense now, type of thing. Like, it makes a lot of things just click, doesn't it? But again, we have to be careful. But it does have that. It has that feel to it that I just said there. That's the feels it gives people when they hear it, who are questioning stuff. And Drunk Wedding Photographer says that's what he feels like too. Will be cool to see you go over some scripture on stream. Well, I went through all the scripture in that video. This is just a recap, you know what I mean? I've quoted the odd scripture here and there. You know what I mean? I just haven't given you the verse or chapter number, but I'm saying them as I go, as I speak every now and then. I'm referencing. But this is a therapy session. I'm just hashing out some thoughts and feelings here, and I assume a lot of you listening can relate to some of the thoughts and feelings I'm having. That's what therapy's all about, right? And you're all sharing your thoughts and opinions as well. I went through a phase in my 20s and I thought psychology had all the answers. Yeah. I did actually. When I was quite young. I have this funny story actually. When I must have been like 13 or something, a very young lad, and I went to the local library, and I went to like the university thesis section of the library, and I took out like 5 books based on like psychology, and they were like really dry books, a lot of them, about data analysis and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That part of psychology. Um, and a lot to like neurolinguistic programming and just how the mind works, you know, how and all that sort of stuff, and how people think and react to things, all that kind of knowledge. And I got these books. I was like 13 years old, and I go up to the lady at the library, the counter, and she's scanning these books, and she's like looking at me as she's scanning them, like looking back up at me and down at the books, and back, making eye contact with me, and I'm staring at her. And she like stops for a second, and she like looks at me and goes like, "Is everything all right? Is everything okay at home, love? You know what I mean? Are you all right? You know." She thought I was like being abused or something. She thought like, this is so strange. It's like, why is a third? Why is this young? Because I look young, all right. So I might have been 13, but I probably looked 8. You know what I mean? It's like, what the hell is this kid who should be out there playing with his mates, doing in a library on a Saturday afternoon, checking out 5 books on university level, degree level, like PhD level psychology? I can't imagine now thinking about it what that would have looked like to her. And at the time, I was like, "Can I just get my books, please? Like, what's the 3rd degree? Like, can I just get these books to read?" And she's like, she was sincerely like concerned with me. She was like, "Are you all right? Like, do you want to talk? Like, is everything okay at home? Like, are your parents treating you well? You know this stuff." Like, yes, just give me the books. Like, do your job. Yeah, I was a weird kid. But yeah, for a long time, the point saying is that, yeah, I loved psychology. I thought it had all the answers. It would give me insights into, you know, how to interact with people better, but also if I understood how people think, then I would be able to understand how the world works, because the world is nothing but a response to the way people behave, you know? But then obviously as I got older, I went down the atheistic route along with that. Then I went down the New Age route not long afterwards, and then I ended up at Christ eventually, you know, after going through the conspiracy route as well. So I was always of a mind to be inquisitive about everything and wanting to analyze everything and understand why people think and believe what they do. So I was always going to end up being a conspiracy theorist, or a channel that talks about conspiracy theorists and theories and hashing them all out. I suppose I was always destined to be here. But I often think about that lady at the library. I wonder what she thinks I'm doing now. Maybe she was right. Anyway, let's get back to the chat. I dated a psychology student a lifetime ago. Worst relationship ever. Worst part, now we're extended family through my parents being godparents to her nieces. It's messy. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. One thing makes sense though. If you take a look at our genealogical tree, there were a lot more people a couple of generations ago, and now population decline is everywhere. That's true. That is true. It does seem like they're trying to. If you think about the depopulation effort, is that actually in hindsight to this new theory, that the little season theory, could it be an attempt to lessen the amount of souls coming back into the earth so they can less people get, or to slow down how many people get saved from the past coming back here now? You know what I mean? Are they trying to lower the population so much? Not only does it kill as many people as possible before they had a chance to be saved, but it also stops more people coming back and getting saved again. Is it a way to prolong the little season so Satan gets to rule for longer? Because it seems like once all the souls are done, you know what I mean, in the back, and there's no more humans who lived previously to come back anymore, then Satan has to use what he's got to go and make war with the camp of saints. You know what I mean? Encircle the camp of the saints. That's all he's got. Then there's no one left. So is he trying to reduce the population to slow down the billions of people that have yet to come back? Or something? Is that what he's trying to prolong his time here? Is that what all this is really about? It's just interesting to think, isn't it? You know, motivations behind some of these conspiracies we have, like the depopulation agenda. You know, maybe it goes way more complex and weird than we think when in light of this type of theory, you know? I don't know. Just spitballing, but it's interesting to think about. Um, Lots of psychology majors are trying to heal themselves, yeah. Broken homes, mental illness seems to be an all-time high. We kick God out of society and are paying for it. Everybody CIA gang stalking. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. I believe with a psychologist once. I lived with a psychologist once. She was so detached and selfish. I left that place traumatized by people. They seem normal but are wicked. Oh, interesting. I worked at a mental health centre as a social worker and my boss hanged himself. It was pretty traumatic. I'm sorry to hear that you had to experience that. I'm sorry to hear your boss did that to himself as well. They look like us, dress like us, work like us, but are so gross and wicked in their thoughts and hearts. All I can do is pray. Love you all and appreciate learning from everyone here, but I gotta go to work. I'm sorry, Moon Mirage. But pray you're all well. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for the live stream, Paul. You're welcome. Thanks for coming. Some zoologists in England just got caught sexually abusing dogs. So evil. Yes, I've heard about that. Yeah, that one's rough. It's pretty disgusting, actually. I think I'm saving that one to talk about with my wife on our podcast we've got together, which is called Tales Under the Big Top. Links in the description to this video if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel. You can follow us on anywhere you get your podcasts. But me and my wife have started our own podcast on there where we go through news stories and articles showing some of the most disturbing and wild and stupid things humanity is getting up to right now in this clown world. Our first episode is already out, and it goes into all sorts of things to do with Bluey, the cartoon. We try and keep it light-hearted and fun, but the stuff we're talking about is also pretty dark as well. Go and check that out if you haven't already, Tales Under the Big Top. But that story you mentioned there about the zoologist, I was saving that one to discuss with my wife for that, so I don't want to talk about it now, in case she's listening. It was pretty messed up. But yeah. Thanks for reminding me about that one. I need to get some tabs open for that, ready for our own podcast. The second episode, we're probably going to record at some point during this week. It seems like with our timings, when we're free, me and my wife's podcast might be have to be every 2 weeks, but we're trying for a weekly one. But we've missed our deadline for the weekly one. That should have been today. But we've just been too busy, parenting and stuff and work. Strong wedding photographer, I think you're 100% correct. He said, we are entitled to nothing. We are to endure till the end, but I would welcome the rapture. Faith doesn't depend on it. That's right. Think of the horrible deaths of the apostles, not exactly living their best lives. That's what I'm saying. Let me just get down here as well. No, if I have to be a martyr for Christ in the end, then that's just what it'll be. I'm not banking on getting lasered up into the atmosphere to avoid it all, or whatever it is. I'm not even sure what rapture people believe exactly. To be honest, it's one of those concepts that I know about, but the specifics seem to be all over the place. Because I don't think there are any specifics. I think people are trying to figure it out and make up how they think it would pan out. But I'm not banking on it. It'd be wonderful. Yeah, but I don't. I can't base my faith on something like that. I think there's stronger things to base your faith on. Let me just catch up with the chat here. It suddenly just jumped away from me. Glad I got the live, said CFR. Oh, well, thanks for being here again. Yeah, it was nice talking to you. You're a pretty chill guy. Again, I'm looking forward to the podcast being released. It says here, apologies, it'll be released soon. Been extremely busy with work, haven't we all? Honestly, I understand. Again, no pressure. I'm not rushing you. You do it in your own time, mate. Honestly, we're all busy with work. It's one of those. Got to work to make money and to feed the family. I get it. Isn't Revelation, the book, a complete allegory, revelation of Jesus Christ, and it's always been a revelation? No S. Lol. the destruction of the temple in AD 70. Well, wasn't it written by John in, is it Patmos? Is that what it's called? People saying he was tripping on something when he wrote it, because it's where the specific type of mushroom comes from or something like that. But I think Revelations is a mix of historical allegory and metaphor, but also you can glean quite a few facts from it as well. I think it's very much a book of its time, and if it's this post-millennial reign thing is true, it was relevant for its time. It was written just before Christ came, which is why it had such a prominent vision about it. And it gave a few years for him to warn everybody what was about to happen properly, and lay out the plan. Just before things went down. But again, Revelations is a tough book to read, because it references. You need to know a lot about the Bible to understand a lot of the symbols that are mentioned, because it's referencing all the other books that come prior to him as well, and the symbols that were involved in that as well. So it's a heavy theological book, and it requires studying deeply. And I'm not saying I've studied it 100% perfectly, to be honest. It's you need a big chunk of time, but I have a cursory understanding of it, which I think most of us do, to be honest. But in terms of getting deep into that, it's a piece of art, and decoding artwork is tough. Symbology is hard to understand, and I think, as with God giving people abilities to interpret dreams in the Bible, I think in many ways you kind of have to be given the eyes to understand these things properly, through God. And I think some people have been blinded to understand Revelations in many ways. But again, I'm not going to get into that. Let's keep going. CFR says hit the like. Thank you. I appreciate that. I truly appreciate discussing these topics and creating a place where sharing information with pretty well like-minded folks can flourish. Well, questioning answers. I appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoy it. Doesn't God say He's going to gather His people back to the promised land? Yeah. Yes. Again, but in terms of timings of everything, this is what people are arguing about. Where are we in time then? When is this all going to happen? And it's tough, isn't it? It's tough. I just found this channel. It's remarkable. Close to my love for Dr. Laura Sanger, diggings of the Nephilim too. Well, Becca, I'm glad you like the channel. And again, just so you know, I'm not a Millennial Reign Tartarian channel. I've only just started talking about this topic just to, hash out a few ideas, shall we say. But my channel does cover a lot of things. Cast a wide net. It covers all conspiracy theories of every kind. I don't focus on just one, but if I was to say, jack of all trades, master of one, my studies have focused highly on the Nephilim and what they looked like, and the clowns and why a clown exists and the link to all of that. So I'm that guy, the Nephilim look like clowns. I'm writing the book on that. That's where my focus of my work is. I am not a Tartarian Millennial Reign channel, okay? But I will discuss these topics, which is what we're doing today. So the guy who left the channel says, "How dare you? You have no idea what I've done, Paul. I screamed for him till I bled. I didn't eat till I was almost dead. You don't know what I've done. I know it was lies. Fool, I'm not going back." So the person who left the Telegram group, who left that comment here now, I just told you the truth. And screaming and bleeding and flagellating yourself and starving yourself, how is that supposed to make God communicate with you? Like, really? Like, I don't understand. Have you made any tangible changes in your life other than severely trying to damage and malnourish yourself? Have you started helping other people? Have you made changes in your life to honor the temple of God properly, which is your body, for the Holy Spirit? Have you made your body, your temple, your place, a place the Holy Spirit would want to dwell? Have you put any real work into it other than screaming to the heavens? It's not enough, Flotsam Guru. I'm sorry, it's not enough. I'm telling you the truth here, because I love you. I don't want to see you suffer. I want to see you saved. Okay, so you can say how dare you all you want, and say you don't know me, blah blah blah, whatever, but I just told you the truth in that response. And I pray for you. I do. But I've told you what you realistically need to do if you actually want to have a relationship with God. Um, you need to put in some work. It's more than just screaming and crying and kicking your feet like an infant, unfortunately. Although the Bible might have been tampered with, I do not believe that God makes sure that the truth comes out, even if the elites have tried to erase it from us. Yeah, yeah. I think all things will be known in the end. Absolutely. Um, all I know is when I pray, talk to God, it makes me feel better. That's wonderful, Alex. I have many prayers answered, some within 6 minutes, so I know God is real. Yeah. Can you link the tree cutting story, please? And thank you. The one in England, the tree cutting one. Just literally Google a tree cut down in England, or old heritage tree cut down in England, and it's all over the news. It was plastered everywhere. It's like they wanted us to see it. It's like they must have some kind of weird esoteric symbolic meaning of some kind. I'm not sure. Not enough people pray and live in awe of the miracle that is constantly around them. Don't take nature for granted. I agree with that, Alex. I love nature personally. My Instagram is full of photography from my nature days. I would just wander around trying to snap as many insects and animals as I possibly could, and birds and trees and landscapes. Yeah, I am in awe of the creation. But I'm more in awe of the creator. Let's put it that way. We see the symbols they use, but we don't know what they're communicating. Not always, not necessarily. My wife says I did psychology at college. It's fun. Don't get me wrong, it is fun to learn these things, but I do think a lot of psychiatrists and psychology people have let it go to their head in some sort of weird God complex type way. And in many ways, I was kind of there too when I was 13, cashing out these books from the library. In many ways, I kind of had that attitude that I'm so much smarter than everyone else now because I know psychiatry or psychology or something. But it's kind of like, don't be like that. Information is information at the end of the day. It doesn't make you a god. Drunk wedding photographer said back to her, I had to take psychology classes for both the marketing and business admin programs. I felt like they hate us plebs. Keep it civil. Remember Travis Scott's circus theme Astro World concert was a historic tragedy. Multiple people lost their lives at that concert. Do you think they use festivals to draw their people into dark rituals? Says Dur452. I do. I do. I think, especially where clown symbolism is involved, that is a literal channeling of an invocation of the Nephilim spirits and demons. So if you go to a festival or a music concert and they have evoked the image of a clown, what they are doing is channeling a demon or demons, or opening a portal for demons to come through the image into our world. Okay. So the clever thing is, people don't know that clowns represent demons. So it's hidden, it's occult. But those who choose to intentionally incorporate circus clown themed imagery into their performances intentionally, I think they know what they're doing, but they know people won't recognize it as what it is. That's why they use the clown. The clown is a powerful occult symbol. It's a symbol that has been hidden from our understanding for a long time. And I've just blown the lid off it. I don't know if they're going to be happy with that, because they've been getting away with it for decades, centuries even, since the 1800s. But make no mistake, when a clown's present at a thing like that, a symbolic imagery of clowns, it's channeling demons. 100%. It's like putting a pentagram on the floor in a really overt, cheesy, in the movies, on the nose type of way for channeling demons. You know what I mean? But theirs is a hidden, sneaky way. But clowns are just a bit of fun, right? Nothing sinister about a clown. That's how they get you. Anyway, what else is going on? I called Norbs, who was a musician who focused on frequencies, did a special on exactly that. A channel called Norbs. Right, I'll look into it. I'll look into that channel. Thanks for the hint. Astro World, yeah. His station's been deleted. Oh, no. but it may be floating around somewhere on the web. I'll look into that. But I never really followed the astral world thing. I just heard about it from other people. Yeah, and it sounded like it was a bit of a nightmarish tragedy, and people were trying to tell me to look into it because of the clown stuff. My best friend and I used to hang out in the self-help section of the bookstore on weekends. It didn't do us any good. Fair enough. Now, where does the depiction of the red horned devil come from? Any idea? It mainly comes from medieval depictions of demons, which are in many manuscripts and they're all over the place in medieval artwork. Honestly, they were obsessed with depicting demons during that time. And the red-horned, red-skinned, pitchfork-holding demon is kind of like a modern, commercialized bastardization of the medieval drawings of demons. Basically, that's where it comes from. If you're wondering where we get that, and it kind of got stereotyped into the modern age, along with the white dress, halo, white winged angel image as well. And it's usually you get the devil on the shoulder and the angel on the shoulders, and that's what they usually look like now in a stereotype image. That's what it is. It's an amalgam stereotype based on the medieval depictions of angels and demons. And that's it, really, if you want to know that. Yeah, do you consume pork? Oh god, here we go. I do, personally. But, I understand that that's probably not a good thing. But I'm not here to get into the whole legalistic side of things. And if you're going to start bringing that here, I will tell you now, I'm not in the mood to tolerate that kind of attitude. I'm really not. Anyway, what have I got left? I've been going for 1 hour 43 or 15 minutes. Would you guys like me to read some of what I've been writing on the book? Where I'm up to with the book? Let's do that for a bit of fun, shall we? Let me just bring this up. And to be honest, it's been relatively slow going for this last chapter. I've been on 14 now for like 3 weeks because it's just heavy. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of information that needs to be referenced and cross-referenced, and I keep finding more books that I have to then skim through and read with keywords to find the points I need to make about it and then understand the context for each book. But I'm still currently on chapter 14, which is Origin of the Clown. So I'll share that with you now, and we'll go through it. Based answer, says Learned Elders. Okay, thank you. I try to be based with my answers. Anyway, screen share here. Let's open this. So this is the book. This is where I'm up to. Chapter 14 on the side here. I've done a chapter on the Grecian and Roman clowns, and also Egyptian clowns and the origin of clowning as an act. I've also quickly skimmed over in this section about the Heyokas and the American clowning and all that, but they get their own section here in chapter 19, Sacred Clowning. So I've not mentioned them in chapter 14. They're going to get their whole chapter dedicated to themselves because they're an interesting, fascinating one. Clown societies, as they're known, are an interesting... They deserve their own chapter, is what I'm saying. So I've only cursorily mentioned over the Greek and Roman theatre clowns and performers, because this is all about where we get the modern Western clown. So it's very much rooted in Europe, and most of this depiction here and these understandings. I've then done a section on Harlequin and its demonic roots and inspiration through the Teutonic myths and Norse mythologies and the Mediterranean myths, amalgamated through the Wildman tradition. Character was then introduced into the commedia dell'arte movement of Italy and the roving travelling groups of performers, who then introduced a character called Harlequin, which was based on the famous European Wildman, which they would have heard a lot about during their travels. Therefore, they incorporated it as a stock character. Harlequin then developed into something lesser of himself, and then was quickly usurped as the lead by Clown through British pantomime. So the chapter I've been writing recently is about Joseph Grimaldi, and the history of the clown. So I'm pretty much wrapping up chapter 14. I mean, how many words have I written for chapter 14 alone? Let me just tools. Where is it? Where is it? Word count. Okay. So far I've written almost 60,000 words for this book. And I thought when I was in university and I had to write a 10,000 word dissertation that was hard. I'm at 60,000 words and I'm only just halfway through the bloody book. You know what I mean? That's 109 pages there already. Translate that into a small proper book. That's probably 200 pages written already there. This is turning into a tome. Maybe I'll have to cut some chaff and make a second book with some of the extra information I've added here, but I'm getting everything down right now. Okay, so word counts. Can I display word counts? Is that possible? Word count, display word count while typing. And let me just highlight 14 so far, just so I can see what I've written. So just about Joseph Grimaldi, I've written 1,767 words. But for chapter 14 in total, so far I'm up to 5,000 words just for chapter 14. Maybe this is too long. Am I writing too much, guys? I don't know. But I'm gonna read to you where I'm up to so far with Joseph Grimaldi and the Rise of the Clown. And believe me, I've written like 3 pages and only just got onto Joseph Grimaldi himself. Okay? It's long. It's a hard book. It's a hard history to write clearly and succinctly. I kind of want to read this out to you so I can hear what my work sounds like. Because when you're just in it for so long and staring at black and white screen, letters on a screen, you kind of stop. You need to stop and understand, does this read well? Does this make sense to somebody? Or am I just swimming in clown information and I'm writing gibberish? So I'm going to read it out loud so I can hear it. This is incomplete, this chapter, okay? This subheading to chapter 14 is incomplete. I'm going to write what I've got currently. just to hear it out. It shouldn't take long. There's not much here, like 3 or 4 pages, so here we go. As we have just learned, Harlequin was certainly a devil in his performances coming out of the medieval period. For most of the 17th and 18th century period of theatre, audiences came to expect such rude and crude frivolities from their favourite inscrutable rascal. However, if one follows the character of Harlequin north into the advent of British pantomime, we begin to see a strange change in Harlequin's demeanour, from brass, cheeky, and fleet-of-foot mastermind to a doting, lovesick servant and hopeless romantic, continuously pining after Columbine, the beautiful daughter of the rich old master, Pantaloon. The costume of Harlequin began to change also. No longer was he donned in a patchwork rag with tufts of hair glued onto each patch in rugged fashion, as was popular in the 14th, 15th, and 16th century. Instead, we began to see a more skin-tight outfit, covered in lozenge-shaped interlocking patterns, emerge through the 17th and 18th century, eventually amalgamating into the diamond-shaped pattern leotard of the 19th century. In equal fashion, the black, hair-covered mask, designed after a wild man beast, got smaller and simpler until it was nothing more than a plain black masquerade mask. It was the adoption of the European commedia style into British theatre that truly changed Harlequin. However, through a pantomime skit known... So you see, that doesn't flow right. It was the adoption of the European commedia style into British theatre that truly changed Harlequin. This was done through a pantomime skit known as the Harlequinade. So, this was done through a pantomime skit known as the Harlequinade. That's better. John Townsend wrote a great summary of British theatre of the time in his highly detailed book titled Clown, brackets, with a subtitle so long I advise you to check out the bibliography than have me write it out here now. Yeah, I will read it out for you. The book is actually called Clowns, A Panoramic History of Fools and Jesters, Medieval Mimes, Jongleurs and Minstrels, Pueblo Indian Delight Makers, and Cheyenne Contraries, Harlequins and Poirots, theatrical buffoons and zanies, circus tramps, white faces, and august. Okay, so I'm not going to say that long title every bloody time. So I just said here, it's too long, read the bibliography. And I think that little joke should be prevalent in a book about clowns anyway, so that's fine. Quote, in those days, pantomimes were divided into two parts. The opening, a fairy tale in dance, dialogue and song, and the madcap harlequinade. The two halves were linked by a transformation scene in which a benevolent angel such as Mother Goose or a fairy queen miraculously changed the characters of the opening into such stock types as Harlequin, Columbine, Pantaloon, and Clown. The plot shared by both parts usually centered around the romance between two young lovers, later Harlequin and Columbine, who were determined to be united, the opposition of the girl's father, later Pantaloon, notwithstanding. The inevitable result was a long chase scene with Pantaloon and his not-so-loyal servant, Clown, in hot pursuit of Harlequin and Columbine. So that needs to be a semicolon. Clown, in hot pursuit of Harlequin and Columbine. It was as if a performance of Cinderella suddenly turned into a Keystone Cops comedy. So end quote. This is me now. This violent chase scene was often accompanied with incredibly dangerous feats of acrobatic skill, along with stage magic illusions involving trapdoors and hidden ladders to aid in Harlequin's escape. In this new rendition of the comedic stock character, Shenanigans, Harlequin would have a new improved slapstick that contained gunpowder to add to its magical effect. The cast would be constantly dishing out kicks and punches towards one another. Clown would gain his own brutal arsenal, one in the form of the red-hot poker, sneaking up to his unsuspecting victims to touch them on the rear end, not before asking the audience, with a cheeky grimace, "Should I?" He could also often be seen brandishing a sword in a haphazard manner, as to accidentally chop off the head of one of the characters before exclaiming, "Oh, I beg your pardon." End quote. The grotesquely violent and cartoonish nature of Victorian knockabout comedy could easily be compared to the more modern antics of Looney Tunes' Roadrunner. In these cartoons, we can watch as weapons and traps backfired with comedic effect, yet no permanent damage would ever befall the cast as they continued on to the next scene, fully regenerated. Such was the nature of the harlequinade. Absurd chaos, violent foolishness, and extravagant feats of agility with no real consequences. All this chaos and mockery was certainly characteristic of the European Arlecchino of the Comédie de l'Art, and that was the original character of the travelling performances who would normally lead the crude humour. Yet it seemed in these British iterations that the true demonic brutality was performed by Clown. The Harlequin of the pantomime harlequinades was merely a multicoloured shadow of his former antagonistic self, now a lovesick, tumbling protagonist. This important switch in comedic leadership, from Harlequin to Clown, began when Joseph Grimaldi came into the theatre scene in the late 18th century. Before the image of the terrifying Joey Clown in the early 19th century was completed, Clown was still modelled after the relatively plain and uninspired character of the Commedia dell'arte movement named Pedrolino. The original Pedrolino dates back to the 1500s, and he appears in all but one of 50 Commedia scenarios published by Flamminio Scala in 1611. Pedrolino became tremendously popular in French pantomimes as the naive and appealing Poirot, the pathetic white-robed lover eternally mooning after the beautiful Columbine. According to the Encyclopaedia Britannica, his costume consisted of a white jacket with a neck ruff and large buttons down the front, loose trousers, and a hat with a wide floppy brim. Unlike most of the other stock characters, he played without a mask. His face whitened with powder. His character was also that of a simple and loyal young servant who was abused by the other characters for comedic effect. This could be considered the first white-faced clown rendition, as Clown and Poirot both relied on their own exaggerated facial expressions than the stock masks. Towson further explained this development of the paint used by the original white-faced clowns. Quote, as a stupid servant, Poirot was often equated with the loutish British clown. The resemblance became physical as well when Clown adopted Poirot's white face. Instead of wearing the half mask associated with other commedia zanies, the French Pedrolino, Gillies and Poirot powdered their faces white. A practice also popularised in the early 1600s by three French farce players, Gros Guillaume, I can't pronounce that, Gautier, Gargui, and Tarlupin, who dabbed flour onto their faces. A makeup containing a lead-based paint eventually took the place of flour and powder, until it was realised that the lead was fatally poisoning many clowns. Oh god, that's so sad. Unfortunately, a safe grease paint makeup has since been developed, consisting of grease from animal fat, zinc oxide, and a tincture of benzoin. The transformation of first Harlequin and then Poirot into romanticised heroes of English and French pantomime left the door open for the reappearance of a more boisterous and buffoonish clown. The costume and white face of Pedrolino was now being worn by the British clown, and in an equally adoptive manner, the very essence of the demonic character of Harlequin was also transferred from one stock character to another, manifesting in the incredulous behaviour of the British clown. To paraphrase Townsend when speaking of the 19th century pantomime, the British clown had originally been a rustic buffoon, sometimes known as a clodpole or a clodpat or a John Trot. Later, clown became Pantaloon's servant, giving up his country ways and developing a cunning mind to go with his many new vices. Like other comic servants, he was Whoops, I just moved something that shouldn't have moved. Like other comic servants, he was intentionally bad at his job. He was essentially a free agent, wreaking havoc wherever he ventured with his hot poker and thieving ways. He had a loud voice, sang comic songs, wore garish attire, and displayed unpredictable behaviour. This modern iteration, let's get rid of that, of the clown was now far more of a comic trickster than the new romantic and magical Harlequin. Jackson Cope, author of Dramaturgy of the Demonic, Studies in Anti-Generic Theatre from Rossetti to Grimaldi, wrote that the bizarre symbolic devolution of Harlequin and the ultimate replacement of the devilish rascal with the Joey-style clown, a change which popularised by beloved and... hang on, let me just reread this bit. Wrote about the bizarre symbolic devolution of Harlequin and the replacement of the devilish rascal. So let's get rid of ultimate. And replacement of the devilish rascal with the Joey-style clown. As a change which was popularised by a beloved and famous performer of the Victorian harlequinade, Joseph Grimaldi. That's better, that rolls off the tongue better. When we view the character in this light, we can see the history of Harlequin's decline in the 18th century popular theatre quite differently. The Joey who replaced Harlequin was actually the resurrection of his original form and spirit, as the half-man, half-demon who erupted from the shadowy history of Germanic devils. A carrier of irrepressible irrationality and desire into the fragile forms of social restraint. Arlecchino came from the shades of an older chaos to become its permanent comic voice, but one passed from interpreter to interpreter through the centuries. End quote. This new style of clown, moulded after the demonic Arlecchino, cannot be understood properly without examining the man who has been titled the father of all clowns, Joseph Grimaldi. It was Grimaldi who enriched the comic business of the Harlequinade to such an extent that it soon dominated the pantomime, in the process creating numerous tricks and gags still seen in today's circus. Charles Dibdin, while heading Sadler's Wells, created a show called Peter Wilkins, in which he doubled up the zanies to keep Dubois in. Okay, so this is just a... Yeah, right, so that's pretty much where I've got up to. These paragraphs here are me quickly summarising key points I need to hit, but each sentence will need paragraphing, if you get what I mean, and the quotes will need to be put there and everything like that. So that's pretty much where I'm up to. The rest of these are just notes, basically, to continue with. But that's where I'm up to so far in talking about Joseph Grimaldi and how he came onto the scene and how Harlequin, who was the original devil clown, kind of got replaced by this thing we call a clown in the 1800s, basically. And how Clown himself didn't even look like that originally, or act like that originally. Originally, Clown is based on Pedrolino, who was a plain, boring character who didn't really do much. You know what I mean? Who wasn't that special and blended into the background. But it was Pedrolino who kind of developed into this brutish version in Britain called the Joey, named after Joseph Grimaldi, who really popularised this kind of demonic act. Anyway, there you go. So there's a reading for you guys. I hope you could follow that. I know that was a bit of a mouthful. I think the flow is there relatively. I do need to change a few things. I changed a few things as I was saying it, because when you're writing it, it's hard to know what it actually reads like or how it actually sounds until you say it out loud. And there's a lot of information packed in there that might not even be necessary. Some people like the extra information. Some people just want me to get to the point. I don't necessarily know, but maybe the editing process will cut a lot of that out. Maybe a lot of that could maybe go to another book. Maybe I need to do a completely separate book into the history of clowns specifically. I'm trying to summarize it up here in 5,000 words or something. But this is the thing: people have written books, like 1,000-page books on clown history. I'm quoting from some of them now. You can see the references. Townsend is a good one. Cope has done a lot on this as well. Who else have we got? We've got Lima wrote a lot about this as well. There's an even older author I use somewhere down here, but I can't find his name. Yeah, and the amount of Broadbent is another one, and also there's the amount of people that have written what they call bibliographies, autobiography. Is that what they call them? Biographies on Joseph Grimaldi is unreal. So I've got a few of those, which I'm gonna have to skip through now to get some. I mean, Grimaldi lived a sad life. I'll tell you that much now. Actually, he had a lot of tragedy, and it seems to be the case that these people who play clowns throughout history have such a miserable, terrible life. It's this joke, isn't it, that they make people laugh at night time while they suffer themselves during the day. It's that kind of thing. It seems to be a common trope of clowning, and I don't know why. Maybe it's something about dressing like a demon all the time just makes your life a misery. Perhaps that's what's going on there. I don't know though, but yeah, that was fun. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. I've been going for 2 hours now. I'll quickly catch up with the chat, and then I'm gonna have to get going. But let's just see what people have said here. Sorry, just trying to find where I got up to. Pork is so delicious, though. Okay, so I think I've caught up with that relevant point there. Desert Trance. Hey all, been an interesting listen so far. Hope you're all well. Thanks for being here. Thoughts on gnomes? They're a thing that come out of ancient Celtic culture, I think, based on the Tuatha De Danann from Ireland. I do believe they are supposed to be the remnants of the Nephilim of Ireland, created, or if not, descended directly from the Tuatha De Danann. There you go. That's where fairy folk come from, and gnomes. Thoughts on the TikTok trend of asking people about Rome? It's it's my wife literally brought that up to me like a week ago, saying all these wives are asking, all these girlfriends are asking their partners about how often do you think about Rome, and all the men have like an answer like once or twice a week, at least. At some point, men do think about Rome like quite a lot, the fall of Rome and the Roman Empire, and like women are just baffled by it. It's like, why? Why are you thinking about these things? And what's the women version of this? It's like all men at some point just think about the fall of Rome or Rome in general. And my wife asked me about it, and I was like, well, it's a cautionary tale, isn't it? And that's how I opened up my response. Like, it's kind of like, because I have frequently thought about Rome and the Roman Empire. So my first thing I replied was, well, Rome is kind of like a cautionary tale, isn't it? You know what I mean? Of spreading yourself too thin, of corruption and moral degradation of society. It's just something we think about, isn't it? But in terms of it being a trend, I don't know. I don't know who started it exactly. I wouldn't hazard a guess, but it made me laugh anyway. um, TikTokers have no connection to ancient history, and so of course are surprised other people might. Yeah, well, I guess so. England needs to take back all the gnomes, those little Nephilim infiltrate together in the US. Yeah, you don't see many gnomes here in England now. I think about it. They are there. I've seen a couple. There's a couple actually not so far from where I live, which are just outside some witch's house, clearly. Um, but every time my son walked past him, he's like gnome. He's like pointing at them. I think he wants to hug them. I don't know. Um, Still prophecies yet to be fulfilled, not quite time just yet. Okay. Post-millennialism is tricky for me to accept because it feels like we're definitely in the tribulation, says Blickeroni. Yeah, well, I know it can seem like that, but I feel like every generation has thought they were in the revelations because stuff always just keeps happening, which kind of looks like it fits those end times revelations prophecies. But maybe that's how the little season works. Maybe the devil is just constantly creating situations to make us think tribulation's just around the corner and Jesus is about to come back. Maybe that's the trick. I don't know though. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. So I don't know. I'm not looking to like ruin anybody's faith with this. I'm not. I'm really not. For me, it was never a faith issue when I started talking about it. I didn't even think that it could ruin people's faith. I thought people's faith was based on something stronger than this. But my intention here isn't to ruin anyone's hope of salvation, because that's not what this should be about. I don't think this is necessarily a salvation issue in the end. We all have to answer to the white throne judgment, even after the millennial reign. So that's what you should really be working towards, not getting to chill out for 1,000 years. Okay, true. But I believe the trends are injected by the powers that be for one reason or another. Yeah, it's possible. The flow of information certainly trickles down from on high, doesn't it? So it wouldn't surprise me if it is some kind of symbolic thing in some way. I can believe with that drunk wedding photography. Yeah. Um, I guess to help reinforce the official historical narrative, says Kay. Yeah, possibly. Post-millennialism would imply we're in the post-apocalyptic ruins of this society. Yes and no. I don't know what it means exactly. Because a lot of people say, Jesus left behind a beautiful civilization, which we just kind of moved into. That's why we have amazing cathedrals and cathedral-like buildings just scattered in these cities randomly, which seem seemingly out of place, that all have the same similar architectural style. That's what they would say. It's not that it's all ruins. It's possible we ruined and destroyed a lot of things when we turned back up, because things would naturally decay without the people around who built them to maintain them anymore. And we just simply didn't have the knowledge or technology which they had in the Millennium Reign to maintain such things and rebuild such buildings. So I think a lot of the Millennial Kingdom, if it has come and gone, was likely destroyed by secret societies, flattened, burnt down, removed from history, so we wouldn't realize that that was the case. Um, I can't wait for this book. Excellent. My wife, the Rome situation is bloody baffling. Why the heck does it ever cross your mind? I'm still so confused. It crosses my mind because I do think about history a lot. My history is kind of my thing, isn't it? It's what I do on here. Um, and obviously, Christ was around during a Roman occupation as well, so it's all kind of there, for me. But I don't know. I think men are just more inclined to research history. We just interest us, so we're gonna know a thing or two about Rome. It just ends up that way. I mean, I've literally just written a paragraph in this chapter that I just read prior about Greece and Roman theatre. You know what I mean? So I personally just know a lot about Rome because it's where my studies have taken me over the years. But why all men seem to think about Rome at some point and have it there as a contemplation constantly, I don't know. I think it's, like I said, I think it's because Rome teaches a valuable lesson in history, doesn't it, about what it means for a society that decays from the inside and loses its moral basis and grounding, and also what it means to spread yourself too far and thin as an empire as well. The fall of Rome, historically speaking, from a secular standpoint, is a big deal, because it's like a warning sign for any future civilization not to follow in the same trend, isn't it? From a biblical standpoint, it seems like the fall of Rome may be in the beginning of the Millennial Kingdom. So what do I know? It gets even more confusing now. Um, the fall of Rome was either the mud flood or rapture. Yeah, that's what I mean. It could be that as well, for all I know. But I don't think the people on TikTok are thinking about that, though. To be honest, drunk wedding photographer, I don't think they're even considering what you just said as even remotely a possibility, or is it even a thought in their mind at all? Because they have zero context to get to such a conclusion. Reminds me of the Deus Vault memes. Yeah, I remember those. It could be normal to think of Rome at anyone who had a more classical education. I'm a woman, but I think of Rome several times a week at least. Well, Kay, you are an exception to the rule. You're what we call a statistical anomaly. You don't count. I will say that much. And maybe I don't get it because I just hate history. Yeah, history is not my wife. It's not that she doesn't understand it. It's just not where her interests lie. That's for sure. I get it could be all those things, but I agree with Paul. People on TikTok have no idea about that. Yeah, absolutely. Right, guys, I'm going to round it up now. I'm going to get going. I've been going for like 2 hours something. I hope you enjoyed this little random therapy set. This was more for me than you. This was my therapy. I think I give you guys enough. I think I deserve a bit of time to myself. But thanks for listening. If you like the book and you like what's going on there and the things you're reading, let me know in the comments. And also you can support that by going to the GoFundMe links in the description. There is a pre-order system set up for you guys there. £100, which is about $125 donation, will get you a free signed copy of the book when I publish it. I will send it to you personally myself. So there's the pre-order system. Though any donation at all is welcome and will get you a special personal thank you in the book, unless you present yourself as anonymous, then I will leave you out. So that's the way to do that. You can support me on Patreon. Thanks to all the brand new patrons I got in September. I think I gained about maybe 16 new patrons, which is unbelievable. I'm so thankful for that. You honestly, you have no idea how important that is to me and how much that means to me. That kind of growth is literally paying for food for me and my family. It's literally giving me the ability to keep doing what I'm doing and not basically have to give up on my dreams of starting my own business and silencing myself and censoring myself to have to conform to a company of some kind. So I'm trying to go self-sufficient, and those donations on Patreon literally mean everything. That stable income is the most important thing for me. And obviously with the growth of the channel from the Tinfoil Hat podcast, it's also good that the ad revenue has kind of grown in kind, but really it's Patreon that is the one that is I can rely on, if you get what I mean. So thanks to all the new patrons who have joined, honestly. The fact that you actually value my work enough to support me financially is in itself a huge motivator. So again, thank you so much. But if you guys are interested in joining, all it is $5 minimum every month to get access to all the extra content and an extra video every week. I will be releasing the next video probably tonight or tomorrow for the Patreon only. I'm a bit late, but it is recorded. It's on my phone. I just haven't uploaded it yet. So I'll get to sending that tonight or tomorrow. So there'll be an extra video there as well. But there's already a 3-month backlog of extra work on there, which isn't on my channel for you guys to go and see as well if you're interested. But yeah, there you go. And so GoFundMe, Patreon's the place to go. Join the Telegram if you haven't already, if you're interested in joining in on debates and sharing information and having a direct line to me. You can always email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com if you have anything you want to share, any information at all, or just want to share some thoughts and feelings you have on certain topics and ideas. I try to get back to people. I'll admit I don't always because I get a lot, but I do try. I do try. Okay, I'll say that much now, but apologies if I don't respond. If I don't respond, please know I have read. Okay, I do read your emails and I appreciate them. Just because I haven't responded doesn't mean you haven't got to me. All right. If you want direct, quicker responses from me, Telegram is the place to be. I am on there regularly with everybody else on there. It's a nice community and I can actually just instant reply there quite quickly and easily. Emails are, I don't know, there's just something about responding to a huge paragraph email that is, it's like I have to put 10 minutes aside, you know what I mean? But if there's something specific you wanted to ask me straight away and get an answer straight away, join the Telegram group. That's probably the best way to do it. I think that's it. What else do I shamelessly need to shill and plug? Patreon, GoFundMe, Telegram, which is just a bit of fun. I don't get any money from that, by the way, guys. Telegram. I think that's it. I've got podcasts being released over October, which I have recorded in September with people. CFR Network is one of them, who you just saw in the chat earlier there. Though you can, I'm not sure if you can listen to that one on my channel. I think you can, under my live tab. But still, if you haven't already, guys, check out the live tab on my channel. There is a huge backlog of stuff there you might not even know existed. A lot of talks like this, a lot of podcasts, a lot of collaborations I've done with other people. I also have playlists set out where I've separated all my collaborations, interviews, things like that with other people. In the works, I should be speaking with Gary Wayne on the 11th. So that should be good. Great fun. I think people will enjoy that one. I know a lot of people know who he is. If you don't, you should listen to his work. He's incredible. So I get to have him on the channel on the 11th. I need to reach out to him and remind him if that's still going, because we did arrange that months ago. It's still in my calendar anyway, so I assume it's in his too. And I'm currently working on talking with Heidi Hollis as well, the author of the Hatman book. So I see what insight she can give us into this mysterious shadow entity, the Hatman. So I'm working on some stuff. Lots to look forward to. I'll try and get another clown video out soon. I have a few irons in the fire with that one. A few topics I want to cover, but I'm kind of just waiting right now to see if there's more information that comes available first. You know what it's like. But I'm always making videos, guys. You know that anyway. But yeah, thanks for listening. I'm going to leave it there, guys. I'll be back next week with another live if I don't see you in between, which is highly unlikely. But if I don't, I'll always be back here next Sunday. Thanks for listening, and as always, God bless.